So a new iPhone came out today, right? Anyone has it? Nice. I like to see that ATJC is all for modernity and updating. There's something fascinating about these devices. Every year there's a new one, right? Next year it's going to be iPhone High. Every year there's a new one, and we think it's the best. And yet, the following year, we're proven wrong because there's a new feature. There's something that makes it better. There's something that improves what we already think is almost perfect. And I think this is a very interesting concept when it comes to reflecting on creation. We are right now in the days in which the world was created. As I mentioned earlier, this is what the rabbis believe is the days before Adam and Eve were created. The world is being made by God, and every day He adds something that makes the world better. Not only that, this is not the first world that God created. Did you know that? Anyone knew? I'm not talking about life in other planets. I'm talking about a beautiful question that the rabbis asked themselves before the creation of the world. What was God doing all the time? We know that God is eternal. Okay, God existed always. So what kept God busy before the creation of the world? And the rabbis have a beautiful phrase. They say, Boneh olamot umacharibam. God was building worlds and destroying them because they were not good enough. They were not up to the standard that He wanted. This is a very radical theological statement. Not even God got it right on the first time. He had to work. He had to practice. And He created the world. I imagine God in His study, designing the world, and He says, no, and He tosses it to the garbage, and He starts anew until He creates this world that was created 5,786 years ago, and He says, good. There's something that He doesn't say, or that she doesn't say. God doesn't say perfect. It says good. This is good, this is good. Eventually, God creates human beings and says, very good, but it's not perfect. Just like the new iPhone. We know it's great, but it's not perfect. There's going to be a better one next year. Why? Because Judaism doesn't like perfection. Perfection stops progress. Perfection puts you in a place in which there's no improvement possible. What's next after perfection? How does the day after perfection look like in anything that you do? In your relationships, in your professions, in your challenge of perfecting your inner self. What do you do when you make it? That's why so many people are depressed after they finish some large endeavor that they have. Because the day after is scary. And so God wants us to understand that the world will never be perfect. And since the world will never be perfect, every day we'll have to do something to make it even better. God didn't decide to destroy this world. It could have followed the fate of all the other worlds that He designed and tossed into the garbage. But this one, He said, this is good enough. I'm going to create someone that is going to make it even better. I used to have a basketball coach in high school. It was mandatory. Don't think that I enjoyed playing basketball. But he would grade us. In Argentina, the grades at school are from 0 to 10, instead of from, F to A, from 0 to 10. So 10 is A. So he would say, A is God, 9 is me, 8 is the top of the class, the rest of you, 7 and below. And I remember having a theological argument with him and saying, well, actually, human beings can be better than God. Of course, he couldn't care less about my theological interests when he was trying to teach me how to, make the ball get close to the hoop. But the point is, Judaism believes that we can do even better than God. There's a beautiful midrash in which Rabbi Akiva teaches a Roman lady that yes, God created grain like wheat and barley, but we created bread. You know, on the third day of creation, God didn't create trees that would give us bottles of wine. Would be amazing, right? But God just created grapes and then created human beings. And human beings can transform grapes into wine. That's the challenge. To understand that it's never complete, that it's never perfect. And I want to tell you that because I believe that in many aspects, for example, our relationship with the state of Israel, sometimes we believe that defending is equivalent to saying that it's perfect. Sometimes we believe that saying that we love something is identical to saying there's no blemish in that something. And any criticism is an attack. For the Jewish tradition, there's no perfect when it comes to this world. This world is imperfect by definition. And God is as close as it gets to perfect. Therefore, anything that was created by human beings has room for criticism, has room for improvement, can be even better. Does that mean that we don't love? No. I love my wife and my kids more than anything on earth, and they can improve. I love myself pretty much. I have a healthy ego, and I can improve. I can do better. I love this congregation, and every day I work so that it becomes an even better congregation. There's nothing on earth that cannot be criticized. There's nothing on earth that cannot be improved with love, with commitment, with dedication. Thinking that something is ideal is very close to making that into an idol. It is no coincidence that the words idol and ideal have almost the same letters. And idol worship is the worst transgression that a Jew can ever commit. I want to invite you in the coming days, in which we're going to be doing a lot of soul searching and reflection, to try to make room in your heart for criticism, even for the things that you love the most. Or perhaps especially for the things that you love the most. Because saying that something is perfect when it's not doing that something a favor. It's leaving no room for improvement. Everything that we know, everything that is, except for God, can be better and be improved. Our job is to love with a critical perspective that enables that something to be better, and hopefully to be partners in the betterment of that thing. Everything requires an update. Every device can get an update next year, and in 2 years, an even better one. Let's work together so that we don't stale the progress by believing that there are sacred cows and things that can never be criticized. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom and a meaningful beginning of the year.